It is overtime in Georgia. GOP hopeful Herschel Walker wants all Georgians to evict Raphael Warnock. That's a play on this story about Warnock's church, Ebenezer Baptist Church, evicting people for very small sums of money during the pandemic. Raphael Warnock released a new ad over the weekend telling voters that what's at stake in the upcoming runoff. Now, since last Wednesday, Walker has also hauled in around $11 million, with nearly $8 million of that coming in the first 2 days after the runoff campaign was first started. Warnock and his campaign has not announced any fundraising totals yet, but you can imagine the money will be flowing in an obscene way. Let's welcome in now Newsmax political analyst Mark Halperin. He joins us for the data that matter and the data that don't, and a state that still matters, even though we know Donald Trump is not quite as interested in Georgia as he once was. Great to see you, Mark.
Good to see you, John. There's no doubt that this Georgia runoff matters, even though we know who's going to control the Senate.
Yeah, the numbers we're talking about, the data we're talking about, 51 as opposed to 50 seats for Democrats. So talk about this and why this is still so important.
So 50-50 Senate, which is what we've had, where if there's tie votes, Vice President Harris breaks the tie. But the rules by agreement when there's a 50-50 Senate are very different than when it's 51-49. Just three examples. First of all, subpoena power. Democrats don't have subpoena power now when it's 50-50. Republicans have to sign on to any subpoenas. Second is we've got this issue of committee balance. 50-50 Senate, then it's 50-50 on the committees, and that makes voting things much more difficult to get things out of committee. When it's 51-49, the Democrats can dominate the committees, the numbers on the committee, so they can move things more quickly. And then finally, this gives Democrats some wiggle room. They've got a number of incumbents who are up for re-election in 2024 in red states. This allows Chuck Schumer to win votes, even giving Democrats one Democrat per vote a pass if they say they need it for their home state interests. So Democrats the majority either way, but 51-49, very, very different than 50-50.
All right, and the data that does not matter, at least not now, are all these polls that show Ron DeSantis is beating Donald Trump in head-to-head matchups. I mean, you know, some of the people that are touting these polls, Mark, were also just a couple of days ago talking about how wrong these pollsters were when it came to the midterms. But tell us more importantly why this doesn't matter at this stage of the game.
Because Donald Trump has proven that he knows how to win national elections, and Ron DeSantis hasn't. And I'm not saying Ron DeSantis can't. Let's see if he gives it a try. He just responded for the first time on camera. You can check out my Twitter account if you want to see it. He spoke about reacting to President Trump's criticism. Didn't take a direct shot back, but was his normally defiant self. So look, he looks like a guy who could take on Donald Trump. But until he actually suits up, gets on the field, hires a staff, gets his butt to Iowa and New Hampshire and other early states, South Carolina, he hasn't proven he can do it. So these polls, I just don't think are all that reflective of the reality of Trump versus DeSantis as we look at it right now.
And so much of this, Mark, I don't know about you, but for me, it's so familiar to what we saw in 2015. It's just accelerated a little bit earlier than the initial announcement. You got the establishment contingency that are obviously very much against Donald Trump. You got a Florida governor who is also like kind of the prohibitive front runner right now, like Jeb Bush, but I'm not trying to make that direct comparison, but I am kind of grasping at straws here for the analogy. But Donald Trump is battle tested. He also, what's different this time, has those favors to call in. I mean, we talked about this, Mark, at CPAC back in February of 2021 until now. This is kind of the path that Donald Trump has been going down, locking up these endorsements, calling in favors, calling out favors. He's going to get a lot of endorsements starting tonight.
He is. And just to be clear, I wasn't being disrespectful referring to Governor DeSantis' rear end. I just was making the point that you got to get to these places to prove you can do the things. That's different than having a press conference in Orlando. It's different than, running circles around the opposition, including the local press in Florida. I think that Donald Trump will have some support, but he also is still an outsider. It's a hard thing to imagine, even though he's been president, he's been the de facto control of the Republican Party, the Republican National Committee, but he is still something of an outsider. And he, I once said he was the second best presidential candidate I'd ever covered after Bill Clinton, just in terms of raw political athletic skill. And that's still the case. Until Ron DeSantis does anything that's different than what he's doing now, governor of Florida, candidate in Florida, you just can't say that he's got the capacity to topple Trump. He might, but you can't say it, and these polls don't reflect the realities of what it would take for DeSantis to get in the ring, get in the arena, and knock out the man who is still the champion.
And I'll quote Tom Cotton because I just love this Ric Flair quote so much. I'm going to use it a lot. Is in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. And Donald Trump, when it comes to winning the primary, is still the man right now, at least according to historical record. Great to see you, Mark Halperin. We'll see you later.
Thank you, John. Good to see you.
No crooked establishment.
None of that twisting the
truth.
No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax.
Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think.
They let
me decide.
Newsmax.
real news
For real people.